And well, I guess we're recording we're recording this. So okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Can you guys all see this?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So San Diego State University, we are located in California, and we're located in the southern part of California. And we're located near the ocean. So we're very close to the beach, but we're also very close to the mountains. We're close to Los Angeles. We're about 2 hours from Los Angeles. And we are actually called America's finest city. So San Diego is the second largest city in California. But we're not Los Angeles. We're not San Francisco. So we're located in the south, about 2 hours from Los Angeles and about 4.5 hours from Las Vegas. And if you're not familiar with San Diego, it really is one of the nicest cities in the United States. I myself have, when I recently moved here about a year and a half ago, my daughter decided to go to school in Seattle, and we were living in Hawaii at the time. And so when my daughter decided to move to what we call the mainland US, I wanted to get closer, and I was targeting two cities to either move to San Diego, which I know is a really beautiful city, and also Portland. But I settled on San Diego, and it's been a great time ever since. So San Diego really is a great town. Again, it's the second largest city in California, but it's also one of the safest cities in the United States. So again, San Diego is one of the fastest growing metropolitans in the United States. If you're familiar with San Jose, which is the hub of Silicon Valley, as you know, a lot of tech companies in Silicon Valley, when San Jose got very crowded, when San Francisco got very crowded, they all moved to Seattle. And Seattle is another tech hub. But now that technology is one of the biggest growing industries, they're all moving to San Diego because there's a lot of property that you can buy down here. There's a lot of space, there's a lot of talent down here. So now San Diego is becoming a tech capital of the United States. So we're starting to be known as one of the technological cities in the US. We've got San Diego has a lot of accolades, as you can see on the screen. So we're also a port city. So there's a large port in the city of San Diego. So there's a lot of trade between North America, South America, and Asia. So if you can see here on the right, our industry leaders in the city of San Diego are clean technology, cybersecurity. We have a lot of cybersecurity companies moving from Seattle and San Francisco to the San Diego area, both cybersecurity and AI. We have a lot of our sciences here. Of course, we're near the ocean, so marine biology is one of our biggest majors. Manufacturing, software, and of course, travel and tourism. San Diego is really is a beautiful city. So there's a lot of tourism here with lots of hotels and infrastructure. So again, San Diego, located on the west coast of California. The weather is very nice. One of the reasons why I was targeting it coming from Hawaii. Again, one of the 6 safest largest cities in the US. So you don't hear a lot of the issues that you see on TV. You know, it's normally rarely ever in San Diego. Again, we're known as America's finest college town and one of the nicest places to live. So you can see here, San Diego is located pretty much in the central area. And when we talk about distances, we don't say really by miles or by kilometers. We're always talking by minutes. So to get from San Diego to the ocean is about a 15-minute drive, just to kind of give you sort of context. San Diego Airport is, again, another 15, 20 minutes, depending on traffic. But San Diego is a small airport. So I know whenever I fly in, I always appreciate when we land. It literally takes about 5 minutes from when you land to your gate. And then, once you get off the plane to baggage claim is about another 5 minutes. So it's a small airport. And I definitely appreciate that than having a huge airport and having to deal with all the time spent at the airport. So again, this is what, San Diego and the surrounding areas look like. So, we're 10 minutes from downtown. We're 15 minutes from the beaches. The mountains are 60 minutes and the desert's about an hour and a half. So it really is a city of lots of, scenery, if your students and your parents are looking for a city that offers snow, rain, sleet, and cold, this isn't it. We have good weather just about 365 days out of the year. So if that's what your students are looking for, definitely San Diego is an option. Now, my daughter, coming from Hawaii, she wanted a different scenery. So she did want rain and cold, and that's why she settled on Seattle. I've been trying to get her to transfer down to San Diego State, but I'm not quite sure why she enjoys Seattle, but I think she's going to end up staying in Seattle and graduating there. So, but again, if you want, if your parents and your students are looking for this kind of environment, San Diego can definitely offer it. So, why San Diego State University? So, one of the greatest things is we are known as one of the top public universities in California. So, we're very much compared to the UCs. I'm sure all of you are familiar with UCLA, UC Berkeley's. So there are two California public school systems in California. We have the UCs, which consist of the UCLA, UC Berkeley's, and then we have the Cal States. San Diego State is part of the 23 campus system of the Cal State system. It's the largest public university system in the United States, and we are the flagship campus. We say we're the flagship campus because we receive the most applications in the Cal State, and actually we're the third most applied university in the United States. So this year we received 118,000 applications to our university. We accept about 30% of those, so it's highly competitive to come to San Diego State. So this current year we have about 35,000 students on the campus, and we offer 200 plus degrees, and we are actually very diverse. So we're a Hispanic serving community as well as an Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander, South Asian community as well. Oops, I'm going the wrong way. Sorry. Still not used to using Canva again. So San Diego State is very well known, especially in the United States. So we're number 11 amongst best value colleges. We're in the top 16 in Forbes, and 34th ranked nationally in graduation rate. And that's a big deal for us that we're top ranked for graduation, because of course, if a student is going to be spending all of this money to go to a university, whether they're domestic students or international students, we definitely want them to graduate. And so that's the big difference with the Cal States is if you come to a Cal State, which is what San Diego State is at, our main focus is for you to graduate in 4 years and to get a job. That's our main focus. Now, the big difference between a Cal State, which San Diego State is, and a UC is that if you decide to go to a UC, you pretty much want to do either research or you want to be a professor. That is the main sort of goal for the UC system. The Cal State system and San Diego State, we want to graduate you in 4 years and get you a job. That's our main focus. Okay, so that's the big difference. San Diego State is about $20,000 to $25,000 cheaper than a UC school, so a good value for their education. San Diego State is again the flagship campus of the Cal State system. The reason that is because we also do research ourselves. So because we're close to the ocean, because there's so much technology here, because there's so much of the sciences here, we actually are very strong in research. So as you can see here in the photos, we do a lot of marine research, bioscience, biotechnology. We have an engineering department that deals with sciences, and every year we have a SDSU student symposium, and these students do research and present about the research in this symposium. So, you know, if you do have students who want to do some research in their majors, definitely San Diego State can offer that. So when students come to San Diego State, and one of the things that I speak to with international students and their families, and being a parent myself of a 19-year-old, I've been through this process of looking for schools in the United States and then, you know, deciding. So of course, my daughter had a checklist of what she wanted in a university. And of course, me as a parent, I had a checklist. And I say the top 3 things in my checklist are going to be the finances, the safety, and my daughter's experience. So one of the things that I tell families is, you know, if you're comparing schools and every student is going to, you know, they're going to apply to several different schools. My daughter applied to 7 schools. And then we came down once she was accepted, we had to sit down and look at what was being offered, what was going to be her overall experience. And so the great thing about San Diego State is you get a lot of value for your money. So, I can honestly say any university you choose in the United States is pretty much going to offer you a good education when you graduate. But what are you going to get through those 4 years? So at least with San Diego State, there's what we say learning beyond the classroom. So we have a study abroad office where we definitely encourage students to do a study abroad. We have a career center. So many of our students are either getting jobs on campus when they arrive, or they're going to be looking for internships, or also jobs when they graduate. They're also going to be, for our international students, going to be offered CPT and OPT. So we have our own dedicated career center for that. We have our college success centers. So if you're a business major, we definitely have groups and associations you can be a part of. If you are a marine science major, we also have, groups for that. So, there's definitely a lot of support for international students. I've worked at 5 different universities in my career, and San Diego State is definitely one of the universities I worked at that really offer a lot of support for international students. We have an honors college as well, and undergraduate research. So many times undergraduate students don't start their research until they're doing their master's programs or even their 4th year of their undergraduate. So here at San Diego State, we definitely offer undergraduate research for students who are going into those fields. Again, what is the student experience going to be like? So we have over 355 student organizations, anything ranging from the business club, we have the hiking club, surfing club. If you are a science major, if you are, Southeast Asian, South Asian, we have an Indian club. We have a Vietnamese club. So whatever you like, we pretty much will have an organization for it. I know we even have a new crocheting club. Crochet, which is a little bit like sewing, is very big in the United States. And so we even just created a club for that. We also have Greek life. On this campus, we have over 40 fraternities and sororities. Students are also involved heavily with the Associated Students. So the Associated Students sponsors a lot of events at night and on the weekends that students can participate in. They can go on hikes, they can do sports activities, they do cultural activities. And of course, we have a mentoring program. Our mentoring program is run both by the university itself, and then our International Student Center also has their own mentoring program. So definitely know that at this university, international students are well taken care of, well supported. There's a lot of international diversity at this university, in addition to a lot of support, a lot of different clubs. Our International Center encourages students to get together. Our international students, so every Friday, they have a cultural hour where we'll have different groups present to the community. So we'll have the Filipino group present, we'll have the Indian group present, we'll have the Vietnamese group present. And so we definitely encourage a lot of interaction amongst our international students. And you can see here from the list, all the different activities we have for international students. And the reason why I talk so much about diversity is that, if students are choosing perhaps a university in the Midwest or even on the East Coast, I definitely will say in California, we really encourage support and diversity amongst our international students, more so than many other universities. So, that's something that your families and your students are looking into. San Diego State can definitely offer that. Oh, and moving on to this next slide, you can see the different kinds of support that we offer. So we have the Black Resource Center. The very first one is APIDA, which is Asian Pacific and DESI Association. It's here on the 3rd floor of our building. We have the Latinx, we have the Center for Intercultural Relations, so we have the Pride Center. So you can really see we have a lot of support for our different groups on the campus. One of the biggest things we always tell students is that we want you to study hard, we want you to work hard, but we want you to play hard. And this is why I think international students might choose a university in the United States is really they want to get their overall experience, and especially an overall experience of going to a university. So San Diego State offers a lot. I mean, you really have to be in your room playing PlayStation to not be involved in the university. So as you can see here, we want our students to be involved in the campus. So we have a lot of art and culture. We have our fitness centers. We have 2 fitness centers on the campus. We have our Mission Bay Aquatic Center that we're associated with, where students can rent kayaks or surfboards for $5, and they can get out onto the water. And then we have a lot of field trips. I know we have field trips to Joshua Tree, which is a desert about 2 hours away. I know they go to Las Vegas, they go to Los Angeles, they go to Santa Barbara. So there's really a lot of involvement for our students when they're on this campus. We are a Division I sports team, so we're the top tier of college sports. Our students can go to all of the sports activities for free. And you can see here in terms of our Division I teams, we have women's sports on the left and men's sports on the right. Our biggest teams are basketball and football. If you are a basketball fan, San Diego State is a top tier team. We made it into the quarterfinals last year. And the year before that, we made it into the finals. So if you're a basketball fan, you can definitely participate in watching that. We have a lot of international students that want to play sports. If they are not at the Division I level, we also have intramural sports and club sports that they can participate in on the campus. We have, because we are an outdoor city, we have a lot of students who participate in these different clubs. So hopefully students might consider applying to San Diego State when the time comes. So what is that going to look like? We have over 8 colleges with 200 plus majors. So College of Arts, Education, Engineering, Health and Human Services, Professional Studies, Sciences, and Business. And what is that exactly going to look like? So these are all of our majors for undergraduate students on this campus. So looking at this list, I can tell you we pretty much have everything except medicine and law. And when I say we don't have medicine or law, that means we don't have a school of medicine and we don't have a school of law. However, we can get you a degree, a 4-year bachelor's degree to then move on to medicine and move on to law. So if students wanted to do medicine, of course, we would have them major in biology and then they would apply for medical school. The same thing with law. So students can major in criminal justice, get a bachelor's degree, and then study for law school. So, we definitely have the support for all of the majors here on this campus. So what are the top majors at San Diego State? We have business as a top major. We have psychology as a top major. We have business, psychology, computer science, and I'm missing the 4th one. Joanna, can you tell me what the 4th one is? So business, psychology,
Biology.
and computer science. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why I blanked because I know this. And just so you know, we are an impacted university. Impacted university means that all of our majors are full. And because all of our majors are full, it's very competitive. So when I say our top majors are business, psychology, biology, and computer science, I know those are majors that our international students are interested in. So I encourage you and I encourage our students and families to look at other majors to apply to. So for instance, if you are a business major, you might want to consider international business. International business is not that impacted or not that competitive or less competitive. So to give you the best chance into getting into the university, I encourage everyone on this call to encourage your students to possibly choose another major first, or really look at other majors and see what they're interested in. So for business, we are encouraging international business. For computer science, we're encouraging computer engineering. Now, computer engineering, that is a department that deals with AI. That is the department that deals with cybersecurity. So computer science is very big. I know it's very big in India. A lot of coding, but in computer engineering, you're doing some coding, but you're learning a lot about AI. You're learning about cybersecurity. So, talk to your students, see what they want. Computer engineering is less impacted. So you have a better chance of getting into the university with those majors. If you're a biology major, highly impacted. Maybe think of going into perhaps marine biology. or just another one of the sciences. If you're a psychology major, you know, the students want to know, you should talk to your students and think, what do you want to do with psychology? So I had a student this year and she chose psychology, but she told me that she wanted to work with little kids, working in a school with kids. So I said, well, why don't you consider looking into sociology? And the reason why we tell you this is because those top four majors, business, biology, psychology, computer science, are highly impacted. So even though to apply to San Diego State, you only need a 3.0 GPA, you're actually going to need a lot higher to compete with the other students. So our average GPA for those four impacted majors was a 4.2 to get in. So really, if your students are looking for those majors, we encourage alternative majors, and then if everything goes well, they get accepted, and they start school, and they decide, I really liked international business, but I still prefer to do business. You can switch majors. You can switch majors within the first 2 years of your 4-year degree. It's very easy. My daughter has changed her major 3 times at her university, so it's very, very easy to switch. We're just letting you know on this call, we want to give your students the best chance to get into San Diego State. So perhaps look at alternative majors. Okay? If you want to discuss more, please reach out to our staff. So what is the application process for San Diego State and the Cal State system? It's very easy. We have our own application under the Cal State system. It's called Cal State Apply. And all you need are your high school transcripts and proof of English proficiency. That's it. We don't need essays. We don't need SAT or ACT. We only require transcripts from your schools and English proficiency. So as you can see, the English proficiency is TOEFL 80, IELTS 6.5, Pearson 58, and Duolingo 105. Now, for our agents on the call from India, when students are submitting their transcripts, we also need to see their individual mark sheets. San Diego State does not accept consolidated mark sheets, so we have to see individual mark sheets. So this will all be laid out when students are applying to San Diego State. What's going to happen is when they apply, they're going to apply to the Cal State Apply system. It takes a few days before that Cal State application will drop into San Diego State. And then after it drops into our side, it's going to take about another 5 days where we will take a look at the application. And then we will say, okay, this is an accredited school in India. And then that's when the student will receive notification that they have to upload their transcripts and they have to upload their English. Now, I know for many schools in India, the curriculum is taught in English. So many of our transcripts that we're receiving from India will say the curriculum is in English. And if that's the case, that's great. If it says it on the transcript, if it doesn't, there's a possibility that they're going to be requested to submit an English proficiency score. So they can either have their high school counselor write a letter saying that the curriculum is in English, or the student is going to have to take TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo. Okay? I'm sure some of you are going to have questions about that, so I'm happy to answer them at the end. If you have any students who are studying in the United States, they are going to have to follow what we call the A through G courses, and the A through G courses are here on the right. Most of you won't, but in the event you do have students who are studying in the US, they are going to have to follow most of these A through G courses while they're in the US. If by some chance they're going to be, let's say, studying a year or two in India in high school, and then they transfer to a US high school, we do take that into consideration. That's why we need to see their international transcripts and also their US transcripts. So I would say don't worry about this unless you have students who are studying in the US. So what is the cost of coming to San Diego State? So we like to really say that you get a great value when you're applying to San Diego State, especially in comparison to the UC system or other private universities. So this is our 2024-2025 undergraduate estimated costs for 1 year. So if you can see, the grand number at the end is 51,972. That includes housing and that includes food and tuition and fees. So 51,000 for 1 year for an international student. Now, if you're comparing us to a UC, we're about $20,000 to $25,000 cheaper than a UC. A UC is about between 72 and 78,000. And of course, other private universities are could be more expensive. I just heard recently that I think Harvard is at $98,000 a year, so that's quite expensive. So definitely, if you're looking at a university that offers you a lot of value, brand recognition. So if you graduate with a San Diego State diploma, that really holds a lot of weight. If you're going into business, if you're going into psychology and all your majors, it holds a lot of weight worldwide. So, something to consider in terms of tuition. When students come to San Diego State, they are required to live on housing for the first 2 years. The great thing about housing is that we have 23 buildings, and they offer a lot of support for our students. They have live-in staff. We have residential learning communities. So if you are, let's say, a business major, if you're a nursing major, if you are somebody who likes to surf in the morning, we actually have living and learning communities that you can opt to choose for when you're moving in. It is a 2-year requirement for international students to live on campus. Studies have also shown that when you live on campus, you're more integrated in the community, you adjust better to your classes, and you will graduate in 4 years. So, one of the things to consider, we do have students who say that they don't want to live on campus. We highly encourage them to start off on the campus, just because they're going to do a lot better at the university itself. So I was talking earlier about residential learning communities. So again, this is sort of the different kinds of communities we have. You don't have to live in a living and learning community, but you can opt out of it and just kind of be thrown into a random dormitory. But we have things like the Black Excellence, the business learning community. I know we have an APITA community. So something for your students to consider. Again, as I was saying at the beginning of this call, that even though we have 118,000 students applying to this university, so we're the third most applied to university in the US, we have a dedicated team for international students. So if you have any questions, if your students and families have any questions, our dedicated team is here to answer their questions. In addition to our international team to answer questions, there's a lot of resources on the campus for international students. So they're assigned a dedicated coordinated care advisor that will follow them for 4 years. They will have an academic advisor that they can speak to anytime they want. We have medical services, behavioral health services, cultural centers, support centers such as reading and writing. So we really have a lot of support for international students, and we always encourage our international students to seek out this support whenever they need it throughout their educational career at San Diego State. So this is the end of my slide, or the end of our presentation. We definitely want you to stay in touch with us. We have our international email. Our pictures, basically our pictures are on the website. So if you ever have any questions, my picture, Joanna's picture, Regina's picture, Rachel's and Kelly's pictures are also on the website. Reach out to us if you have any individual questions that you may have from yourself, your agencies, the students and their parents. So with that, I am going to stop the presentation, and I'm not sure if you had any questions that you may have at this point.
Oh, we have many questions.
Oh, we do. Okay. So you can either put it in the okay. So all right, so let me try to answer some of these in the chat first. So yes, we accept we accept medium of instruction. So if it's listed on the transcript, if a representative from the school sends it in letterhead, we do accept that. Okay. Is the official score reporting of an English test score required? It was this year. So if they were taking TOEFL and Duolingo, it had to come from the dashboard. IELTS, they had to submit it to us. I know we're still playing with it. I know this year the Cal State application is accepting TOEFL and Duolingo, so it may not be. So stay tuned. But just so you know, when students apply, they will be given sort of different ways to submit their scores. Is home-based TOEFL accepted? Yes, it is. Okay, but it's the home-based version that is still on it still has to be 80 TOEFL. Okay. Are financials required at time of application? No, they are not required. So this is what's going to happen. If all goes great and our application period opens October 1st and our deadline is April 1st. Now we do have an early consideration deadline. That early consideration deadline is December 2nd. So if students apply and submit their all of their documents by December 2nd, they will have a decision around the first of the year. And if they're accepted, then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, if you're accepted, these are your steps to enroll. So submit $400. And then if you want your I-20, you want to submit your documentation for your I-20. So it is not required until you decide I am coming to SDSU. And if they get into SDSU, again, I told you we have a 30% acceptance rate. But if they get in, it's great. It's, you know, it's really competitive to apply to San Diego State. So I encourage students to really consider SDSU as one of their schools that they might consider attending. Is there an I-20 deposit? There is not. So when you apply to SDSU and you're accepted, there's a $400 enrollment deposit that you have to put in. Okay. And until you do the $400, our International Student Center won't be able to see you. So you can't be accepted and then work with our International Student Center for an I-20 without submitting the $400. Okay, because we really want you to be coming if we're going to be dealing with your I-20.
Excuse me,
deferral-
Roger, I have a question here.
Yes.
So, without paying the $400, the student will get an I-20, or they have to pay to get an I-20?
They don't have to pay the $400. We encourage them to pay the $400.
All right.
Because what's going to happen is that unless you pay the $400, you're not enrolled in the university. Now, we do have some students who get the I-20, don't pay, and if they go to the interview and the consular officers are going to say, are you enrolled in this university? Technically, they are not. So if that consular officer decides to call the university and we don't see that the student has submitted the $400, we're going to say, no, they're not enrolled. So something to be aware of.
All right. So this $400 has to be paid, before the visa interview.
We encourage them. Now, just so you know, and the world has changed a lot and everybody is anxious. So in the event, students pay $400 and they get their I-20 and they go to their visa interview and they don't pass the interview, that $400 will be refunded. Okay, so that's one of the things we want to, encourage is pay the $400, get your I-20. If you get denied the I-20, you get that $400 back. Now, because it's so hard to get into San Diego State, somebody asked about I think it was yourself, Malika, about a deferral procedure. So if by some chance you're applying for the fall, and we only have one intake, because we're such an impacted university, we only have the intake in the fall in August, so just one. So in the event you have students who, for some reason, cannot get their I-20 in time for the fall intake, you can defer to the spring. The spring is only open for students who are having issues such as deferrals. Now, we definitely encourage students to start this process early. So if you get a visa interview early, and I know it's challenging to get a visa interview in India, but if you can get a visa interview early, and if you're denied, then you can reapply again in time to start for the fall. Now, I know Regina worked with 2 students last year where they were initially denied their visas, but they did it early enough in the cycle where they tried again the second time and they both got in. Okay, so we encourage this process early. for this reason.
So technically, there is no spring start. It's only if the visa is rejected, they can
That's correct.
defer
That's
it for the spring intake. All right.
That's
Got
correct.
it. Got it.
Another question, open school / distance education accepted. I'm not quite sure what that means.
Like
Perhaps,
NIOS, Roger. Like we had students who did the NIOS last year.
oh, you'd have to answer this question, Regina. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, so we are accepting NIOS. We are open to that. So we had one student last year who made it to university with the NIOS course.
Okay. Okay. These are all the questions that I see. I do see Kelly on the line. If Kelly wants to give a little wave, Kelly is our international admissions coordinator. And so again, we offer a lot of support for our students. So amongst other things, Kelly deals with helping students apply for their I-20. So she is the liaison between our department, the student, and our International Student Center, who is the issuing authority for the I-20. So again, if students have any questions regarding their I-20s, their financial documents, they can start off with Kelly, and Kelly will assist them in helping get their I-20 for them. Another question, what is the GPA requirement for undergraduate students? Yes, maybe I neglected to say that. So the minimum GPA to apply to San Diego State is a 3.0, okay? Minimum 3.0 and English proficiency. But if you are going to be applying to, well, I was going to say are impacted majors, but they're all impacted. But let's say you're going to be applying to business. You really need at least a 4.0 to compete with the other students applying to business. So minimum to apply 3.0. But depending on the major, and you can discuss with us what those might be, but you really want it to be as high as you can, but minimum 3.0 to apply. What is the turnaround time for the offer and the I-20? So again, if you're applying and if you meet the early consideration deadline of December 2nd, we'll let you know either around Christmas or January of this year, of next year, whether you've been accepted or not. Once you're accepted, you can start working on your I-20. And the turnaround time, if all the documentation is correct, is about 10 days. And we emailed the I-20. So no paper I-20 anymore, we email it. So it could be a fairly quick process, if all the documentation is there. Is a WES required? Not for undergraduate students. A WES/evaluation is for graduate students. The deferral, let's see. So if a student wants a deferral, if they have to say, I had my visa denied. So we go through something that is called an appeals process. So all students, if they want to switch to another term, they have to do an appeals process. And this appeals process, they're going to ask for documentation. So in terms of, let's say they want to defer to the spring, they're going to have to write a letter, explain why they want a deferral. And then they're going to have to show documentation that I was denied a visa. Okay, so it's so competitive to get into SDSU. We only allow deferrals for 3 reasons: medical reasons, military reasons, and then if you were denied a visa. Those are the only 3 reasons. If you say, I want to take a gap year or a gap semester, and that's why I want a deferral, they're going to say no. If you say, I've been accepted and I want to defer for a year because I want to work and make money, they're actually going to say no because our costs are laid out up front. Okay.
Roger, there was a question about the agent tagging process as well. So I think that's very important.
Yes, it is. So I'm speaking to GB, and I know GB is a master agent, and you have a lot of sub agents. So hopefully you would say you're a GB agent. Now, I know all of you have your own agency names. We prefer that it says GB rather than your agency name, because what's going to happen, and this is going to be at time of application. So you or the student are going to have to put that you're an agent for GB or your agency name. And then I would check with perhaps Malika if this is a GB sub-agent. But it has to be in the application process. And here's why. We are not really approving when agents call us 6 months later and say, oh, this is our student, you need to tag them to us. And here's why, because we've had this in the past where we'll be working with students starting in October. And they are working with us. We're helping them submit their documentation. Perhaps Regina's working with them. They've been accepted. And then they're about to come to SDSU. And then we have an agent who will email us and say, oh, this is our student. Can you tag them to us? I'm going to say no. And the reason why I'm going to say no is because I know they've been working with us this whole time. So what I normally do is if an agent emails us and says, oh, this is our student, and it's 6-7 months later, I'm going to go back to the original application because I can see that. And if the original application doesn't have an agency name on it, I'm going to say they're not working with an agent. And of course, I understand that students forget. So this is a reason why you should work very closely with your students who are applying to San Diego State, because you are the person you're going to want them to put your agency name, preferably GBs, in the application. Okay. We don't do after the fact application tagging. Okay. And I will hope you'll understand, because, you know, I know all of GB's agents are reputable, but we have a lot of non-reputable agents out there. Okay, scholarships. I see that question. So we do offer scholarships, but they're highly selective. Okay, so San Diego State has never offered international scholarships before. We just started offering them very recently. They're highly selective for high achieving students. So we're a public university, and we're a California public university. And generally, California public universities do not offer scholarships. Why? Because we accept money from the state of California. Okay. So our domestic students are not offered scholarships, pre-admission scholarships. So we just started offering scholarships this year for international students. It's highly selective, high achieving. We're looking at the GPA. So those scholarships can range from $500 to $3,000 a year for 4 years. So let's say $12,000, right? Yeah, my math. So $12,000 for 4 years. That's just about the maximum. We also offer post-admission scholarships. So you have to be accepted and you have to say, yes, I'm coming. So those are called Aztec scholarships. Aztec scholarships can range between $500 and $3,000. So let's say the maximum amount, $3,000, it still won't cover your $52,000 tuition. Okay, so you have to know that these are going to help cover the cost of currency exchange, perhaps your books. So students really have to know, or have to expect to pay the full tuition when they come to San Diego State. And again, you know, international tuition at this university is a lot lower than, let's say, the UCs or other private universities. I had a question, agent consent form. So if there's an agent consent form dated to when the student applied, I will accept that. Okay, so if by some chance I have to add an agent after the fact, I need to see an agent consent form, but it has to be dated to when the student was applying. Okay. I think I covered most of the questions. Did I miss anything, Regina, Kelly, Rachel, Joanna?
Yes. So Roger, I think the first
Oh,
first comment had like 18 to 20 questions.
I didn't see those. Are those in the chat or the Q&A?
Yeah, so I'll just ask the questions, like most of you have answered, but some that you missed is math required for BS nursing?
Oh, nursing. Oh, that's a tough question. Okay, so let me explain to you how nursing works. Nursing at this university and many American universities, it's probably the most competitive major to get into. And nursing is really reserved, or I want to say priority is given to local students. Why? Because when you graduate as a nurse, we want you to stay in the US. Now, that's not to say that international students cannot apply, but you have to have a high GPA. You have to have like a 4.2, and you know the US GPA is a 0 to 4 or 1 to 4. And the reason why you hear me saying 4.2s and anything higher than that is because these students are taking AP courses, the advanced placement courses. So we then weigh those classes. So if you want to apply to nursing, I would say you have to be extremely top of your class, 4 and above. But again, it's highly selective. They're going to give priority to domestic students. So I would say if you want nursing, that you would apply for biology, another competitive program, but it's going to be slightly less competitive than nursing. Honestly, nursing is a really tough major to get into. I would say initially apply to either public health, if you don't want to do clinicals in nursing, but if you want to do public health is becoming very popular, especially after COVID, or you apply to biology. Now, biology is highly competitive. You have to be up there as well, a 4.2, a 4.0, but it gives you just a slightly better chance to get in to the university under biology. And once you get your degree, you can go into the nursing program. Nursing is really competitive. Okay, what else, Regina?
Even like 9th and 11th mark sheets required for UG. So it's yes. It's required.
Yes. Yeah, we need to see the mark sheets. I saw someone asking about the deadline. So the deadline to apply for early consideration is November 30th. The deadline for just regular applications is April 1st. So our deadline is pretty, for international students, it's a very extensive deadline. But April 1st is the deadline.
Roger, I just wanted to check with you. What is the turnaround time for the offer? I think I missed that answer.
When you say turnaround time, so our intent to enroll deadline is May 15th. Is that correct, you guys? Am I wrong here? May 15th, right?
So she meant like once the student applies, when will they hear back from the university?
Well, if they apply, okay, so if they apply by November 30th, they will hear back, I would say, the beginning of January. Now, this year, when students applied, they heard back starting December 18th. But I don't want anything can happen. It's right before Christmas. We were very, very fortunate this year that we were letting international students know when they were being accepted on December 15th. I would like to say December 15th, but I don't want you guys to be calling me saying, hey, it's after December 15th. So I would like to say the beginning of January. If a student misses the November 30th deadline, let's say they apply December 15th, they will probably find out a month later. So around January 15th. Okay. If they apply in January, they will find out in February. In February, then we go to rolling admissions. So if they're applying in February, depending on when they get all their documents in, they'll probably find out 2 to 3 weeks later. Okay. What else? What other questions have I missed or that you can think of?
I think you covered most of it.
Okay, and we will definitely, just so you know, we will definitely work with you. If by some chance it's April 2nd and you say, Roger, we really have a student who's highly interested. They have a great GPA. They have the English proficiency in hand. They don't want business. They don't want biology. They don't want computer science. They don't want psychology. I will work with you. Okay. This is why we have an international admissions team. This is why we have Regina in Mumbai. This is why we have Joanna, Kelly, and Rachel. We want to work with our partners, and we want to make it as easy and as possible to work with our partners. I know agents have to deal with a lot. They're dealing with the parents. They're dealing with the students. And it's mostly the parents that you have to deal with. So we want to make this as easy. So we want to answer your questions. If you want Indian time responses, you've got Regina. And then, of course, we're here in San Diego, and we want to be able to answer all of your questions. Okay?
All right. Thank you so much, Roger. Thank you, team, for your time and wonderful session.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. And again, reach out to us if you have any questions. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy dinner, afternoon, morning to spend with us. And we look forward to seeing the application starting October 1st. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you. I've
good
dropped
night.
my
Thank you.
email if you want to reach out. All right.
Sure, sure. Thank you,
Okay.
Regina.
Thank you, everybody. Good
Have
night.
a good night, good day, good evening. Take
Okay.
care all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.